Hello, Sharks. I'm Rahul Gupta.
And I'm Charlie Ayrton.
Today, we are here to present to you YawsSense, a novel device to detect yaws.
Yaws is a chronic bacterial disease that affects the skin. It is caused by the bacteria T. pallidum subspecies Pertinue. It is closely related to the syphilis disease.
Yaws is located in a very warm and humid environment, such as Africa, Asia, Latin America, and the Pacific. Populations that live in rural, poverty, and low socioeconomic conditions and poor personal hygiene conditions are typically affected by yaws. Yaws is spread through skin-to-skin contact with other people who are already infected.
Some previous techniques to detect yaws include extensive lab work in polymerase chain reaction, or a treponemial and non-treponemial line, which is a finger prick blood sample that is collected and placed into the kit, and the results are read after 15 minutes. There is also a TB lamp, a complicated TB loop mediated isothermal amplification that requires experienced healthcare workers to use light sensors and microscopy to detect yaws.
Generally, in the past, yaws has been diagnosed through the use of expensive, high-tech gear, equipment, which requires a lot of medical training. However, with this novel device, YawsSense, yaws can be detected within 45 minutes. Additionally, our novel device allows everyday people to test themselves to yaws through the use of relatively inexpensive material. By allowing yaws to be inexpensive, efficient, and diagnosed quickly, the yaws infliction and death rate would be forced down, as more people could easily be tested for this rare disease.
Doing this, more people could have an easier access to a yaws diagnosis, which could help them get treated. There are in Africa 46.7 million people who are at risk of the yaws disease, along with 35.8 million people in Southeast Asia and 7 million people in Western Pacific. And children under 15 make up about 75% of those affected. Yaws is not a deadly disease, but if untreated for long periods of time, it can cause permanent skin and bone deformation. To use our YawsSense device, firstly, a sterile cotton swab is taken out from the device. It is then swabbed upon the area where the bacteria infected the skin, and it is then put into a container that contains enzymes to denature the DNA. And then this is discarded. Once the DNA is formed inside of this tube, which it will look like small white strings, the sterile syringe that is provided is used to take out all of the liquid that is separated from the DNA. And this syringe is discarded. And now what is left is only the DNA inside of this tube. Afterwards, this inoculation is used to actually pick up the DNA from inside of the tube, and it is then inserted carefully into the device. Pause. The inoculation loop is then rubbed inside of this compartment, which contains a bunch of other chemicals to test for the yaws. And then the inoculation loop is quickly discarded, and this device is placed inside of the box, which automatically starts a timer for 45 minutes. Afterwards, after 45 minutes, this little viewing hole will have a color in it, and that color, using phenol red to test for the pH, will determine whether or not the yaws is a positive or negative diagnosis.
The device is unique in the fact that it does not use a blood sample from the patient. This, which may have previously scared children, who are the ones typically with the disease, will allow them to be more willing to use the device and get diagnosed. Explanation: the skin lesson sample is dipped into a small vial containing a lysis buffer. DNA is then inserted into the input port of the test cartridge, which contains the lyophilized lamp reagents. This includes 4 primers. The main device makes sure that the reaction happens in a controlled temperature of 60 to 65 degrees Celsius. This is the optimal temperature for BST DNA polymerase, which facilitates the DNA strand displacement. The reaction buffer also contains standard components like DNTPs and MgSO4. There's also a mechanical timer in the main device, which automatically gets triggered by a weight sensor when the test cartridge is placed down. This user-friendly, non-invasive skin swab test can deliver accurate results in just 45 minutes. This rapid and cost-effective solution allows for individuals to self-test, increasing accessibility in low-resource areas and reducing the likelihood of disease transmission. YawsSense increases the healthcare costs of yaws by limiting the expensive lab equipment and special medicine training for doing a traditional PCR examination. Kits that use PCR are very expensive, time-consuming, and require laboratories. In contrast, this modification of PCR, LAMP, is an at-home testing approach. Additionally, YawsSense is a cost-effective device, despite being more accurate than other yaws point-of-care devices. Treponemial rapid tests struggle in differentiating between past and current infection of yaws in the body. As a result, false positives can arise, and this issue is not present in YawsSense. Point-of-care rapid testing costs around $2.50. The YawsSense remains competitive in this price range, with it being around $2 to $5. However, since the YawsSense is reusable, the main device can be reused, and only the test cartridge, swab, inoculation, and sterile environment has to be bought new. This can be purchased for around 50 cents to $1.